That was your intro? He literally looked at me before we started today and he was like, let me do the intro. I got an idea. And he was like, I feel like on early mornings.
The intro for this. It's always interesting in the mornings that I get up really early. I feel like I have a giggliness sometimes.
Like you're giddy.
Work. I'm giddy. I'm full of energy because things are happening.
Was
early.
Today one of those days?
I was up early and I was working on 5:15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had an
early
did
team
not
meeting.
see you exit today.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me because I need to WD-40 our door. Because it creaks, right? And I'm
our bedroom door
it's
talking
going
about.
to wake you up, right?
Well, it did the other day. It was like...
And you're like...
I was like, where are you going?
I'm like, I'm going to work. I'm going to go downstairs. And I will tell you, the only thing that can make getting up early and working in PJs in the man cave downstairs would be a cold morning. Because I already have hot coffee, because I do make coffee.
Which is today.
Which, by the way, does that coffee machine wake you up at all? Do you hear it when it goes off? Because it grinds the beans.
Yeah, I know you're making a coffee.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If I know that you're up, like today I didn't.
Right.
But if I'm up while you're up and you leave, then I can hear the coffee.
So after successfully WDing the door, then we'll
today
be
you
back to,
did. Oh
no. I'll say you won't know I'm out. That's the
wow,
only thing that wakes
happened.
you up is when the door creaks.
But you just
I almost have it closed. The latch is almost there. I'm like, I almost read it, and then you're like. Wait, where are you going?
I'm like a 90-year-old woman.
My funniest thing is you ask me where I'm going. There's options. It's like, where are you going? And I'm like, where do you think I'm going? I mean, there's only one place I ever go, and that's downstairs. Make coffee, then go downstairs and man cave it.
I know, man cave it. But you said the only thing that could make the morning better is a cool morning, which I feel like is today. It's very cool outside.
It's cool, yeah. But I mean, inside
it's really
too,
cool outside.
Almost like a basement feel, where it's cold in the basement. That would be super cool.
No, not at all. But you were saying you were giddy.
Yeah,
that was your intro? He literally looked at me before we started today and he was like, let me do the intro. I got an idea. And he was like, I feel like on early mornings.
The intro for this.
Different.
I
was
thing.
like, that was not nearly as good as
intro.
I thought it was going to be. I left it all to you. And you were like, so I woke up and that's it.
I'm wearing
your new
my
shirts.
New shirts.
Yeah.
So
we say shirts plural because he now has.
We have someone who we do business with, and we provided some air conditioning for them, and we ended up having a couple $100 credit, and
you're talking
because
about
I just
a
gave it to
t-shirt
him,
shop.
right? I actually gave it to him, and I said, "Hey, just take this," and no cost because this is a relationship building, and he's like, "No, you have to give me an invoice, right?" So I'm like, no, it was free. It's like, no, I need an invoice. So I gave him an invoice.
I'm like that guy. I don't want things for free. I want to pay.
But here's the thing. The invoice didn't get paid, right?
He just wanted to know how much.
And so then I did a drop off. Then I'm
was.
Awkward because I'm like, okay, so I have this invoice sitting in here now. Now that's an awkward invoice. So then I printed it, was going to have conversation. He wasn't in. I left it there and it still didn't get paid. So then I sent him an email. I said, hey, can you do this? They print shirts. I was like, hey, can you print some shirts for me in exchange for this thing? Then he was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry this didn't get paid. I cannot believe that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can get shirts. So I have wanted, our parent company, Public Products, doesn't have a logo, the words of the logo, but it has a dot on the eye. And I've kind of made that the unofficial.
Is the logo.
Yeah, I've made that the official symbol of Public Products.
It's called a logo.
Okay,
it's an icon.
It's a circle. Yeah. It's a circle. I don't know if you can see it. It's a circle.
It's
not only is it our circle, but I feel like Iron Man when I'm wearing it.
He's a superhero.
So now I'm I feel great.
Your mic is falling today. I think you need to tighten it up a little bit.
My mic needs
sorry
Viagra.
about the. Oh my gosh! Did you really just say that?
There we go. Is that a little bit better?
I hope so.
Excellent. Anyway, so I got these shirts, and for those of you who don't know, I actually went to military college. I wore a uniform for 4 years. I was in the Army. I wore a uniform for 4 years. When I got into the work world, I wore I had a white colored long sleeve shirt, and then I would embroider those shirts if I worked for a different venture or a different company. And so I had a uniform that I've worn, and then I've gone through this long period of time where I've just been wearing T-shirts and fun T-shirts, and then now I'm back to wearing a uniform, which is just jeans and one of my dot shirts.
Yeah, so he got a dot shirt in like 10 different colors.
I have like 40 shirts. And then I didn't wash all of them. I only put one of each color, wash those. So now I can just kind of cycle through those so they wear out. Then I'm going to throw them away. And then I'm going to take a one of them from each color.
A new batch.
And I'm going to get a new batch. I think I'm good for a couple years.
There you go. Good.
So I'm excited.
Don't change sizes.
I'm giddy. So
yeah, I even got one shirt. Lucky me.
You got 3. But I only gave you one because I want you to wear through that one, and then I'm going to give you some more.
Okay,
so
I'm on the same.
You're on the same schedule.
I'm on the same cycle.
You're on the same psycho schedule.
Okay, good.
So we had an interesting weekend because one, a lot of people who have second homes or they have rental property or anything like that. We actually have a cottage, and we talk about it all the time. We go in the summertime, but in the wintertime, we actually get it ready, and we have family that rents it from us because they're snowboarding. Snowboarding. They are snowbirds.
You're the only snowboarder in the family.
And they rent and stay at our place. So we went there to get it ready.
Yes, this weekend we went to the lake house, which has been crazy. I feel like it's been so long since we've been there. We go usually almost every single weekend in the summer if we're not traveling elsewhere. And it's been a really long time just because we've had work.
Yeah, it's been fall.
Yeah, it's been fall, but it's been like a lot going on. We've hosted friends and hurricanes have come. You did go, this is the crazy part, you did go check on the lake after both the hurricanes hit just to make sure everything was okay. In fact, the dock and everything at the community had been kind of ripped out and it's still being, replaced and the water's high or whatever. But we came the other day because Thanksgiving's coming up and blah, blah, blah. They show up in December. So we wanted to make sure we got everything ready, which is quite the task. I mean, we don't mind leaving everything that we have in terms of like kitchen items and condiments and whatever, but we usually end up just leaving the condiments and maybe a little bit of beer in the fridge because we know those are the things that they're going to use. Otherwise, our stuff is in their way. Like these people are going to live there for 3 months. And just like if you were going to stay, somewhere or rent something, you would want the space in the cabinets, on the countertops, in the drawers. So we remove all of our clothes, and it becomes like a big move out weekend. So we were already anticipating a lot of work and we walked in the place on Friday night and we were like, oh gosh.
I was like, why is there white stuff all over the tiles?
Yeah.
And it struck me kind of odd because it almost looked like a crystalline structure. And so, of course, I Google it, and it's actually a crystal that's formed from the slow evaporation of water.
Which was great. So I walk in, he's already Googling, and I go, what the hell is that? And he looks at me and goes, what's what?
Well, I thought maybe you saw something else. I wanted to make sure that I was actually... I thought it was so weird, and I couldn't tell. Like, is this mold growing? Is this what is this? And what it is we ended up kind of looking, and the water line to the fridge had
we pulled the fridge out because we could tell it was coming from a certain area or whatever.
And I pulled the fridge out, and it like started gushing and sprayed you in the trash can, and you were like, "Turn it off."
Well, you were like, I was like, I hear water, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's here, and you were on the other side.
And so I very quickly turned the water line off to the fridge, and
it was a whole thing.
And it was a whole thing. Matter of fact,
so our week,
bring the fan.
Yes. So our weekend of packing up, he ended up doing like a whole. There was not mold visible, but we did mold treatment. We scrubbed the floors. We cleaned the grout. Like it was a whole thing, and it made our already pack up weekend have like a whole nother
more
aspect.
Frustrated,
but we were so happy we went this weekend.
That's the same thing. Like. People, when you have homes, and like, let's say you're in the business of renting out homes, and you're a property owner, or you're in the Airbnb business. We've kind of talked about us thinking about getting into that with some cool concepts down the road for fun. But the reality is that you take on these different things, and the one thing that you just do not want is water damage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like it is the thing you cannot get.
We were just talking about this the other day, and I mean, again, I know we've had this conversation. I feel so bad for anyone who experienced any level of damage from the hurricanes.
Yes.
But that being said, it seems like the areas that experienced mass flooding from Helene, like St. Armand's, right by Lido Beach, has been much more devastated and will take much longer to remediate and rebuild and re-drywall. Like every single establishment there is still gutted. There's a few restaurants open, so yes, you can go there and patron those places. But unlike Siesta Key Village, where a lot of stuff has been damaged, there was definitely high winds. And so it impacted areas and roofs, and there's furniture, that got damaged and picked up in tree branches. But the village is open. Everything at the village is open. We just actually had the Siesta Key Sandcastle Classic.
Yeah,
but my point was yes, water is the worst damage to have. But
yeah, and I just feel so thankful that I do believe that leak probably sprung. It had to have sprung between the last time I was there, and
which was right after the hurricane. It's only been like 2 weeks,
and so we're talking that this leak probably happened within the last couple of weeks, and it was slow enough that it didn't cause any real big damage.
No,
we'll figure. I'll finish cleaning the tile out. I got the camera, the cottage cameras pointed there, so I could see if anything's happening
inside.
Inside there. So
yeah, we were thankful
good.
that it wasn't worse. We're getting it all ready to go. He's going back actually tonight to take care of that. So it's just another extra thing because you have an event you're working tomorrow for.
Yeah, for Dusted. So I'm going to be headed that direction across the state. And it's actually a charity event. And, you and I have actually talked about the cost of doing events where we push Dusted out into different areas.
Well, we had the conversation because we were just at the Siesta Key Sandcastle Classic, which is very cool. These artists come and they literally build life-size displays, artistry, display. I don't even know what you call them, but they're not even castles. They're like full-blown themes from books and
yeah, they're full-blown
and they're huge
sand paintings.
They're not life-size. They're the size of a
truck.
Yes, they're huge. And these people come in and they're so talented. And so they did actually still have that event, even though the hurricanes came and the beaches were closed for a little bit. Everything's open back up again, and it was really nice. But we had an ambassador that goes to different farmers markets, art shows, seafood festivals, things around the state of Florida. He sells his own merchandise, and he sells Dusted. And so because he was local and in our town, we popped over and said hi.
And yeah,
but we were talking about it, like
just the numbers, the business of those of you who are in business and you make crafts or you make different types of home
anything,
decor,
going to farmers
paintings.
markets.
It's what you're going to see at shows and farmers markets and craft fairs, etc. And a lot of amazing stuff. And these are all businesses. These are people, literally a lot of these people, they travel from show to show. They get to see United States or see the state.
Right.
And they're selling their wares.
Yeah. And that's, sometimes maybe it's like you sell it on Etsy and you do these farmers markets,
right.
Or maybe you have it in, local retail shops in town, or maybe you sell it on Amazon, who knows, but the majority of these people seem like they're actually doing the face-to-face and going to these markets because that's what has proven to work best for them. And this particular person was like, yeah, I do like out of 52 weekends in a year, I'm at a show, like 50 of them. And we were like, wow, that's, a lot.
That's
and
a lot
so
of
we sat there, and he's given some rough numbers on what his sales look like in those weekends. And so we did the math, not that we would go 50 weekends out of the year, but even if we had an employee, that went to these shows.
Go to shows, like what would the numbers work?
Yeah, what would the profit be?
And we couldn't make it work.
No, it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense for us, which is why we do the ambassador program, so that we get our product into other people's hands who are already doing that. And so they're already doing what they're doing, and now they have an additional revenue stream.
And I think that's important in business. Like sometimes you can sit there and be like, man, you really, people come up to you too. You should really sell this in the farmer's market. You should really.
People tell us that, yeah,
all the time. And so it's like, you know what? We know people who do it. We've gotten some real numbers. We've looked into it. We've done some, books on it, and it doesn't make sense right now. And another thing in business is, just because it doesn't make sense right now doesn't mean there won't be a point in time where it does. Like I remember joining different companies as I've grown in my professional career, and I'd come in and I'd have an idea, and people in leadership oftentimes would be like, oh, we've talked about that before. We decided against it. And it's like, well, when did you talk about it? 5 years ago?
Right.
You know, like maybe it didn't make sense then, or you didn't have the budgets then, but like, does it make sense now? And there's a lot of like naysayers, but I sit there. We used to say change makes dollars was another one of our slogans, which is literally pennies and change will equate to dollars, but change and ideas, you know, can generate revenue. It just depends on the time. Like is no idea that's a bad idea. There can be, but share it because, you know, even if it doesn't make sense at the time or you're not going to execute on it, it doesn't mean that it's not something that could reap rewards in the future. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
actually have some news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we actually talk, I think I mentioned this before, like, you know, what was the purpose of our podcast? And it's like, hey, we're talking about business. And specifically, I think one of the goals for our podcast is we want to share what's going on in our multiple businesses and the challenges that we have, things that we see in the news, et cetera. And I think it's come across that, you know, because we don't have any kids and that we don't have all these challenges that other people do have it. So I thought that we can maybe fix that and add a little bit more challenge into our opening and running businesses. What do you say to that?
Into our lives.
Into our lives. Like, could we add just a little bit more turmoil?
You don't call her that. I say don't call her that because.
So we have great news.
Big news. I'm pregnant. For those who don't already know, I'm 6 months, so it's not like a secret anymore.
It's not a secret in our inner circles, but we've actually refrained from it on the podcast. We wanted to wait till, you know, we got further along in the right time. And
yes, but we actually, speaking of like, what's the purpose and building a brand and all these other things, we went to a speaking session this week at a local career source center that works with a lot of different local businesses, entrepreneurs, and also individuals who are looking to get placed in jobs and get on the job training. I mean, it's a really incredible program. And we've leveraged their program for employees. And they asked you to be one of their keynotes this year, which was super exciting. But it was funny because while we have, you know, shared that I'm pregnant with the inner circle, he stood up on stage yesterday as I was watching him speak and told the room of 65 people, you know, oh, and my wife right over there is actually 6 months pregnant. And a whole room of people look over at you and you're like, oh.
Hi, that's me.
Everyone's saying
the only
congratulations.
reason I did that was because the speaker before me went over, he's like, oh, this is who my family is and everything. And in my slide, I had a dad slide in there. And so it just feels awkward to not say anything.
Well, so the guy that spoke before you actually said, I have an 18-year-old and an 8-month-old. And yes, it's as hard as it sounds, which was quite funny. And then you said, because you do have children who I love dearly, and they are adults now.
They're young adults.
And so, yes, Chris has been through the parenting. This is my first. But we were joking, saying he's kind of in the same position where he absolutely has children, still very much so, you know, friend and parenting, you know, it's kind of that transition in life as they do become adults that you're still guiding them, but you're becoming a friend. And
right. Well, I think there's this perception that, and you know what? I had this perception. And so therefore I think everyone has this perception, which is there's a way that you do life, right? And so, you know, you graduate, you find someone, you get married, you have kids, you work on a business, and then, you know.
It's linear.
It's linear.
You grow up with the American dream and the white picket fence in mind.
And then you're going to become grandparents, and this is going to
linear.
happen, and then blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was very much as I'm looking, you know, kind of through everything, it's kind of like, there's so much opportunity in the world. And there's so much things to do. Like, it's just, everything is always exciting to me.
Well, and what's interesting is I would say out of everybody that I know, the people who are the outliers are the ones who have had that linear life. Like the minority would be the people who met someone in high school or college, got married, got a degree, got a house, got a job, got a, you know, white picket fence, had some children, like that whole like perfect little life. It doesn't happen very often.
Okay. So you think, yeah.
I'm saying like those people are the minority, and the majority of the others are like, oh, I traveled, or, I got married, I tried to have kids, but it just didn't happen for me. That's a whole nother thing in terms of having discussions on infertility and what goes into that. But I think, a lot of people, it's very common to get divorced. It's very common to not get married at all.
But all these things impact business, because business is how we go through life, right? And whether you are a member of a company, or whether you're the owner or running a company, whatever you're in, it all revolves. Business is how we're paying our bills, how we're living, and how we're doing all these different things. And so all this really to say, like you said, we were at that entrepreneurial event, and I spoke, and I did share, about our family and everything, because I do believe it's relatable. And as we kind of talk forward, we're going to actually be introducing this into a lot of aspects of our businesses. One of, you're not going to be in the office, and you're going to be in podcasts. Will I be doing podcasts by myself?
No.
Will I be holding a baby during a podcast? I don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what it looks like, but I think that's part of the fun
Budget
of it.
banking.
Yeah.
We're going to be building it. We already have a child account that had Pepper in it. Now we're going to be teaching and talking about having
everyone.
more expenses inside of budget banking.
Yes. Pepper will remain my daughter alongside our human daughter.
Yes.
Pet daughter, human daughter.
No comments, angry listener.
There's an angry listener out there that does not like that I call
Animals
Pepper
are not
my daughter.
daughters.
Yeah. But I think it's very interesting going back to the speaking sessions that we heard. It was actually just yesterday, and it was really inspirational. They had some great speakers that came in there from all different walks of life, people who are consultants for, helping people stand up businesses and build businesses today, who've run their own businesses, some successful and some that have been complete fail. Well, this is interesting. I almost said complete failures. What was very interesting is the whole theme of the conference yesterday was failing forward. And I think across the board, all of these entrepreneurs that were speaking were in agreement. Unbeknownst to them, it was just a common theme and thread throughout their different speaking sessions that there is no such thing as failure. These are mistakes, these are learning lessons, these are opportunities, these are milestones, and everyone embraced them. They learned from them. Like, things maybe, I think, don't work out the way you originally anticipated them to be, but every single one of them can look back on those moments in their life and be like, I gained from that happening.
Right. I mean, I will say that if you close down a business, that was a failure. You might have learned something from it, but that was a failure. We have a saying in the software world, and that is that the only finished software is abandoned software. And that means that you've stopped working on it. Typically, when you're building software,
otherwise it's in maintenance mode.
Yeah, you're not in maintenance. You're always adding features. You're tweaking. You're improving. You're doing that.
Well, I guess in my mind, adding features and staying modernized is
maintenance.
Maintaining.
Yeah, you're maintaining
software.
it and keeping it viable for the times that you're in, for sure.
But it was inspirational. And again, yes, is shutting doors of a business a failure? You shut the doors of your business, but it happens.
It does
happen. I think a lot of entrepreneurs
I wouldn't take it as a personal failure.
No, a lot of entrepreneurs that are very successful today had other businesses they shut the doors on before they became multimillionaires. So, you can, yes, to your point, it could be considered a failure, but you learn from it.
I'm glad I didn't say that in my speech, that I didn't say, like, hey, closing your doors is a failure.
And then she spoke after you.
Then the next person
that would have been horrible.
Had a few
but we
examples.
We listened to this girl who
had rowed across the ocean.
Rowed.
Like road, like ROW. Like road.
Yeah.
In a rowboat.
On the Atlantic and on the Pacific. And it was pretty wild. I mean, she went like almost 3,000 miles on the Pacific from California to Hawaii. And
I totally believe that Anna did cross the Atlantic, but I'm not going to give her the Pacific.
Well, she rowed in the Pacific.
She rode from
Well, she didn't cross
California
the whole ocean, but she sure as hell crossed the ocean.
Hey, she crossed a significant portion of the ocean, but I can't give her that one.
Not the entire ocean, but I don't think that's what she's claiming. She has 3 Guinness World Records.
No,
and
she's trust me, her and her brother and her other teammate are amazing, and their story is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not giving
they
any
were
type
in
of
this
discount.
tiny little rowboat and had like
It took them 43 days.
60-foot rogue waves. But it was interesting because she, not everybody who's passionate about, doing something in life is good at speaking on the topic. And I felt like she did a good job being able to share her story and relate it to the business world. One of the biggest things everyone was talking about is like passion and grit and what makes you want to do these things. Well, she wanted to be able to row and kind of take on this challenge. And so that was the motivation to gain money and to get sponsors and to, put in the training hours and all of those things, getting finances and doing capital calls and
It was like building a mini business.
Everything can relate. I think the difference is the motivating factor there was to sail.
Yeah.
And the motivating factor for entrepreneurs is the business is the baby. Like that is what they want to happen.
What was the name of the boxes that she had?
The Wins.
The Wins. So she had something that was actually really good, and I actually had meant to buy a Win box
from her.
I liked, yeah. So and she did mention at the luncheon afterwards that she does have them online, and I told her two things. I said one. I asked her. I said one. Are you going to do a third crossing? And she said, you know what? There's a desire there. I'm not totally 100%. And I told her, I said, hey, we have an ambassador program at Dusted. So if you do, consider us as one of your potential sponsors.
Yeah.
I'd like to learn more. And the second one was the Win box. She says she had them online. And the idea behind the wins was when you have wins, you put them in the box and you put them down. And then when something bad's happening, you go in and you retrieve one of them to basically remind you of all the awesome stuff you're doing.
Well, and how far you've come.
Yeah.
To sit there.
I can so relate to the Win box because, and my Win box is you. Like you're my Win box because I will sit there and I will come home.
But for the record, he doesn't, very sweet. He doesn't mean I'm where he's won. Like I am his reminder.
You're my reminder because I will come in and I will sit there and be like, you know what, this isn't going right. This is taking too long or this or that, or, and then you come back and you go, yeah, but we did this. Yeah, but we're doing this.
And
but
it's important to have a support system.
And that support system, when you're running your business, I would, definitely encourage you. If that person is not your significant other, maybe it's a partner that you have in the business that's reminding of you. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's a parent.
For the girl who went across the ocean, Anna, it was her dad.
It was her dad.
And she does have a husband now, but it's definitely, you need to find people, even if you're not an entrepreneur, in any endeavor that, is challenging for you in life. When I was managing a marketing team at my previous roles, I had to constantly sit there and be like, okay, let's look back and remember all the work that we've done, because that's
why I love the year-end wrap-ups.
Yeah. Because you sit there and you go, wow. Like,
wow, we did all that this year. Like, what a great reminder of the things that you did.
Well, and things that seem small today.
By the way, are you working on the end of the year wrap-up?
I knew you were going
to. You knew I was going to say that.
I know, but.
Didn't I message you about that the other day? Didn't I Slack you about that the other day? Is that on your list?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Oh my gosh. We always do a fun little compilation of all the things that happen in the year. I started it with business, and then
last year we did it personally.
Personally was the first year.
And then now it complicates things because now it's like we really enjoyed doing a personal one.
No, I only want to do the personal one. I transitioned. No, I'm kidding.
No, we have to have a business.
I know.
Oh no, we can't.
It'll be great.
If we do one, we have to do a company one.
But I think that it's we sit here and we talk about support systems and wins and looking back and recognizing all these good things. So you don't let these, I almost call them downfalls. It's not failures. I don't know what you want to call it. These moments in time where something didn't go your way get to you. And that was another common thread amongst these entrepreneurs, is just like, you're going to have bad days. Things are going to happen. Like, you can choose to sit there and wallow in your sorrows, or you can like take the 2 seconds you need to be like, that sucked. Now I'm going to control what I can control and move on.
Move on. Yeah.
And so that was really cool. A lot of people also said, if you do have a family, if you're doing it on your own, then like obviously you can find support and friends and family and people surrounding you. If you don't have like an intimate family that's living at home with you, if you do, that plays a big part too. It's like setting expectations for lifestyle. And and I said to Anna, the girl who went across the ocean, I was like, do you have any kids? And she said, no. And she had talked about this piece of paper she had to sign before she went on her second, or maybe it was her first. And it literally is like all these risks, and you have to sign this waiver saying, yes,
you could die.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
you
aware
might
that
not
I
come
am
back.
risking my life right now. And I was like, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Like all of a sudden you become a mom and signing a piece of paper, essentially knowing you could potentially be signing your life away.
Right.
Would you do it?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. And I told her,
things.
she's like, you could totally do it. I go, I couldn't do it. I said, I couldn't give up all the other things that I love to accomplish something where I could potentially get mauled, drowned, and disappear.
It takes a strong
And when I say
person
mauled, I mean by like
by a
sharks
shark.
and polar bears.
I knew exactly what you were doing.
Yeah.
No polar bears unless she's doing Antarctica next.
Polar bears, they're out there.
Narwhals.
Narwhals. I get stabbed in the heart by a narwhal.
That's like Steve Irwin.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
why'd you have to
sorry.
go real? I'm making
was
fun.
horrible.
Poor guy. Come on. He was like,
No, you didn't see it. What are you talking about?
yes. He got stung by a stingray.
I know, it was horrible. That
was
flew
in the
out of the water.
water.
I know.
Yeah.
And wasn't he on a boat?
Man, we were having such a good time.
I'm
just
sorry.
now.
I'm sorry.
Buzzkill.
It was. It was a very, very good night.
Let's talk about Friendsgiving then. Subject change.
We're completely. Anyway, if you guys have dreams, I think the biggest thing before we leave the topic is start them now, start brainstorming ideas, make them happen, take the actions. Don't, have imposter syndrome and doubt yourself. Like you do only have one life to live. And
well, it was interesting because I talked to a young lady there. But by the way, if you're old, I'm still going to call you a young lady. So I was talking to this young lady there, and she had just started.
Well, now I feel like you just unintentionally called her
No,
old.
she's not old, but I'm just saying, I'm just using that as it's no rate frame of reference at all. Like if I say young lady, you cannot assume that I'm talking to a child.
Okay, go ahead, young man.
Thank you. Call me young man forever. So one of the things she said, she was starting a photography business. She's like, I don't really know, and I'm really worried and scared. And I looked at her, I was like, you have imposter syndrome. Like everything you're saying right now is imposter syndrome. I go, you're a photographer. Call yourself a photographer. Get out. Don't tell me, a potential client, all the reasons why I should not use you as a person.
Right.
I said, you're basically telling me not to use you. And I just kind of coached her through a few other things.
Look
and
at you.
What?
You were just motivating on and off stage yesterday.
You know what? I am a motivator.
People really enjoyed your speech. There was one woman after you were done speaking, because obviously the entire room looked at me after you announced I was pregnant on stage. And afterwards she was like, so what's it like? And I was like, I could tell like what she was. And I was like, being married to that man? Is that the question?
Yeah. She's like, there's the good that you see, and then there's a lot of bad.
No.
He's crazy.
No, I said
This
it's
guy's
amazing.
crazy.
I was like, we're both very type A.
Yeah, we're type A, which, when we both, A has a point at the top. Okay. So if you get two of them and they just poke each other.
We do when he's bringing on the edge of being annoyed with me. He's like, "You're poking the bear."
You're poking the bear. And that's the thing is like, and not to segue into marriage and relationships, but there are a lot of people out there who are entrepreneurial, who are in business with their spouses, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so
because it becomes the family's livelihood.
it's the family's livelihood and their business, and usually one of the spouses is picking up, other things, and
They have different
they're working
skill
together,
sets,
different
yeah.
skill sets, etc. And one of the things that was said to me a long time ago is that one is that you hurt the ones that you love, right? And sometimes we could say things to each other,
Absolutely, the people
that
that
we
are
wouldn't
closest
say to a team member. And the reason is because we love each other. We feel like we're closer. We can say anything.
very comfortable.
You're very comfortable in saying, and maybe it's me too. I don't know, but it's one of those things that you
Maybe
really
it's
have
him
to
too.
be.
Wow,
Yeah.
if that ain't the story of our life.
Yeah, maybe me too. It's the Me Too movement.
Oh,
it's Me
okay,
Too.
no. Friendsgiving. Moving on.
But the point is that you have to stop sometimes and remind yourself and be like, you know what? This is, a certain type of setting, or we're in a certain thing. I need to actually claw back and actually stay more in that realm of not feeling I can just say anything or comfortable. Would I say that same thing to someone else? And the answer is no. And so
Yeah,
I
we
need
remind ourselves all the time.
We got to control our tongues. Words hurt.
Definitely.
So Friendsgiving.
I know. I don't know why we're into like a relationship. Yes, we're hosting Friendsgiving this weekend. We're gonna have like 20 people over to our house. We're super excited, and we have lots of prep to do. And we're gonna fry a turkey. Your brother fried a turkey last year, but this year we're gonna fry a turkey.
It'll
for the
actually be
first
the
time at
first
house.
turkey that I have fried.
Very nervous.
And so I bought a fryer, and I'm super excited to get that. I did get a turkey.
You did?
Yes.
Where is it?
It is in the secret garage man cave fridge.
Is it?
Yes.
A turkey?
A turkey. Yeah, it's in there going from frozen to non-frozen.
Oh my gosh.
So it is in there.
It's
It's 20 pounds.
You got a 20-pound turkey?
Yeah, I almost got the 25-pounder, but it wasn't.
Pound per
I got the biggest
person.
butterball they had.
You got a butterball?
Publix had some bigger ones.
This is all news to me. I'm like, you got turkey? You got a butterball?
I got a butterball.
20 pounds?
20 pounds
I'm
sitting
so
in the freezer,
excited.
the fridge. And so that's in there. It's ready to be thawed out. But we are event people.
Yeah, we love to host.
We love to host.
So we'll give you guys big updates on how all of that goes.
So why'd you have it on the list then? If it was, we're just saying that we're preparing. Was this the teaser to the next week of all the logistics?
Yeah, just a teaser. Well, and it's like, it's what we're going to be doing for the next couple of days. This is as good as your intro. No, I think it's important. We
Yeah.
can talk about budgeting for things like this. No, we've gone over, we've planned the menu. We've got kids coming for the first time. All of a sudden I'm pregnant and it's like, I guess you can bring your children now. We're going to be introducing.
Your entire mentality changes. Your mentality changes in your personal life, just like it does in business, or changes in business, just like it does in your personal life.
Yeah.
As you're changing, so does your business.
Yeah, exactly.
What you allow, what you'll do.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me 20 years ago, if I would have had a dog in the office, I would have been like, are you insane?
Yeah.
Like, why would I allow a furry creature warlord running around, ravaging for food everywhere? And,
Okay. She is so well behaved. And
well, I love her. Yeah, now it's like office dog, office mascot.
yeah, he brings her even if I'm not here.
If I get to the point where I allow other dogs into the office, you got to kill me.
Don't say kill you. We'll just check you for some sort of disease. Something will be wrong.
Yeah. Well, brain disease.
That's it just reminded me of something funny.
Well, you gotta share.
I can't remember what it was, but you did something and someone was like, check him for a brain tumor.
Oh, yeah.
But
I know
anyway,
exactly what you mean. In case you don't know, I actually do know.
So do I.
I feel like you do know, but you're like, yeah, we're not going to go there.
Exactly. I felt like I was really casual about it until you called me out.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? So like if you're ever with, and this happens in business all the time, right? So let's say you're in a meeting together and you have members of your team and you're meeting, let's just say at a client or someone. And so you guys say something and then you kind of look over each other and be like, yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about that. Right. And it's like that.
And it's like,
mental thing. We both know what you're going to, what it is. And we're like, yeah, we can't go down that path. We cannot go down that path.
It's like instant eye contact.
Yeah.
You're aligned without saying a
And
word.
so you're sitting there, and if you have a great team and they all know each other, you're sitting there and everyone's on the up and up, and you dodge that bullet, so to speak. And of course, that happens with couples all the time, and that just happened with us. So we're just sitting there like, yeah, we're gonna not talk about that one.
Well, you see,
It took me a second.
I was gonna say I am super stealth. He is
When
like,
you said you couldn't remember, I immediately went through my catalog of black files. It was like, okay, let's go to the unmentionable files and let's look through oh, yep, there it is. I knew that
for
she
the
didn't
rec-
forget.
Yeah.
It's just in the black file.
I have a disgustingly good memory, so you should have known right off the bat. If I say I can't remember something, we just move on.
Right. No, there's no just moving on. I actually had to go. I had to go search the black book.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
And I found it. I remembered it. And then I sasaid, ooh, she's good. So,
Oh my gosh. Anyway, before we head out today, we went and saw Wicked last night.
oh, we did.
Yes, you actually, so Chris is really good about planning different like surprise date nights. And one time we, at like, what time was that? Like 10 o'clock at night. There was like a
no idea what you're talking
pirate pop-up
Oh,
cocktail.
there's a pop-up bar.
Yeah.
Pirate pop-up bar.
I'm like, where are we going? And then he like brings
Where are
me
we
into
going
this
at 10
room.
o'clock at night? I'm like, I'm not really sure. I have a vague address.
They're serving like cups you didn't see made of like plastic
and liqueur, and they were like doing like pirate poetry.
Anyway, it was
fun.
It was
we
actually
laughed.
entertaining.
We had a good time.
But very
I left my
interesting.
hat there.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, but I got you a new one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so last night we were doing another surprise date night, and I was slightly concerned because you just never know with him. But it ended up being wicked. But what's funny is that I was on the phone with my mom earlier in the week, and I said to her, "Oh yeah, Chris has something planned for me on Wednesday. We're going on a date night." And it wasn't that day, but it was the next day. It dawned on her that normally my dad and her are very cute, and they do date nights on Thursdays to still,
And he had switched it to Wednesday.
He switched it to Wednesday, and she was on it. And so for my mom to cotton on to this is pretty good. And she said, "I don't know what you're up to." She thought it was me and my dad planning something because I had mentioned it. And then I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds like whatever's happening Wednesday, you're going to be there too." And it was very cute. My parents came. And
Jerry called and he was just like, "Hey, Wicked's coming out, special premiere 3D edition." And I was thinking that we'd take the girls. And I was like, "Jerry, I think that's a fantastic idea."
Chris is being very facetious because we had a surprise date night and we all were like, "Well, this is super cute," but we know it wasn't my dad's idea.
No, it was totally Jerry's idea. So,
but
anyways, we
Wicked,
went.
First
here's
of
why
all,
this is important. Are you going where I'm going?
Go ahead.
So we went
we went
to Cinebistro, which is one of those places that you can actually eat dinner. So it's like dinner and a movie.
Yeah.
And we love going there. We don't go there all the time. I do feel like it's been more of a recent thing, especially since we have a Hollywood 13, like literally 2 blocks from our home.
I don't know. I tried calling them today.
Okay.
To complain.
Oh, it's Cinebistro?
Yeah.
So you're going there for an upscale experience. The tickets, you're sitting in a very nice plush chair where they automatically add gratuity. If it's just you're paying 20% gratuity. And so I feel I've always had a problem with that on the customer experience side. But this particular time, we're opening night at a movie.
It was
we
opening
paid
night
extra
for Wicked.
for the tickets.
Yes.
And it felt like they were understaffed taking our orders because the key is to get your food order. The reason why we get there,
they only let you in the theater at a specific time, but we were there when they opened the doors of the theater, so we could not have gotten there any earlier. Right. And honestly, I mean, before we get into like this, this could be a podcast in itself.
Oh my
but
gosh!
Long story short, they took forever to take our orders,
and the screens went down.
Yes, there was sound, but no picture.
And
this was for the previews.
So I got up and, there's probably like 80 people in the theater, right? So I get up, maybe 60. I get up and I go complain. I say, "Hey," and the guy sits there, and the guy literally says to me, he goes, "It's not a big deal. It's only the previews." And my jaw dropped because I sat there and go, I don't know about you. I enjoy the previews.
But either way, the movie's about to start. Like, what do you mean it's not a big deal? Would you have even known it was happening
if
I
didn't
didn't
even know?
I know. So then, so the sound's broken, and then it's a 3D movie, Wicked, and all of a sudden the movie starts. And it is so blurry. It doesn't matter if you have the glasses on or not. It is like nauseating, making you sick. Now, I'm a pregnant girl. I was literally like, "Don't look." Like, I can't.
It was shaking. Like the picture was shaking.
The whole thing. It was horrible. So this time Chris goes back out to say something. But so did 10 other people.
So everyone else that's gotten up with me, because there's a couple people, are talking to the staff. And here's the problem. The staff sits there and it's like they don't even care. They haven't been trained properly to say, "You know what?
We're really sorry
thank you for
this is
reporting
happening."
it.
Yeah.
I have escalated this to request to X manager. We are working on it. It's going to be resolved shortly." Like there's none of that.
Not once did anyone come in the theater and say,
apologize,
"We're aware."
Or they even didn't restart the movie. So I go all the way out. I get to the bar area. I say, "I need to speak to the manager, please." And so this guy pipes up and he goes, "What can I help you with?" And I said, "The theater is broken. It's not working. It's 3D. And he looks at me and he goes, "You need to put your glasses on."
And you're
and
just
I
like
looked at him
dumbfounded.
and I sat there and it took every ounce of me not to jump on him and pounce and beat the stupid out of him.
After everything that had just happened.
I literally was like, I looked at him as kindly as I could. And I said, I'm not dumb.
Like I put my glasses
My
on.
glasses. And
By the way,
60 other people are complaining right now.
Yeah.
And we're fighting off anarchy.
So hold on. I, by the way, noticed Chris got up when this all happened and it's like blurry. And there was like, 10, 20 other people that walked out too to say something. Cause at this point it is like, it's opening night of Wicked. This is ridiculous. The movie did not fix itself until at least 15 minutes in. And like everyone
We
missed
have
the
no
beginning.
idea really. We couldn't really see.
It was very distracting. There's like people up everywhere, but anyway, so all of a sudden I say to my mom, while the movie's still blurry, I was like, have you noticed that of the, 16 people that left the room, all 15 of them are back, but Chris? I was like,
because I
very
went straight
concerned.
No, I mean, I went literally to the head of the snake and I strangled that snake.
Well, I called today to be like, because not only that, but we had gone to buy those pre-tickets. And I just wanted to be like, your staff is rude. They're pissed. I don't know what's going on. This isn't like a one-time occurrence. Wicked was blurry. This is like your staff does not care about the customer experience. From when we went to buy tickets the other day and that woman, like it's just across the board, different days, different people,
Right.
different roles. Everyone in the place is just not happy. And
the reason why we bring this up is
the
because
general manager's mailbox just hung up on me. It was like you couldn't get in touch with the general manager, and then
really,
it gave you the opportunity.
because 100 people are
probably
asking for,
called and
I
want
was
their
going to
money
go
back.
in today and ask
I
for
know.
get our money.
I would.
And just be like, we want free tickets for this show,
I would.
and be like,
That's
I'm
why
sorry.
I thought last night was. By the way, you guys, if you're gonna go to Wicked, like be prepared, be committed, like be
It's
ready.
like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
It's 2 hours and 41 minutes. This pregnant girl was like, by hour 2, I was like, I mean, I Googled how long it was at 2 hours because I was like, wait a
It
second.
just felt a little slow at
Well,
times.
it's a musical. It's a musical, If
Yeah.
I'm a giggly squad girl, as Paige DeSoro would say, there should be a warning if there's more than 2 songs in a feature.
Seriously.
We need to be made aware in advance. And I will say, I've seen some musicals before, like even if you mess around with like a Shrek or something like that and you're watching
Yeah.
something on TV. This was definitely a song. I don't even know if I heard talking. Like I actually feel like the entire thing was sang.
Really? I actually didn't think there was enough music for a musical.
What?
Yeah, I thought there was a lot more talking and
my
whatever.
gosh. I
And
was
some of
like,
the
if they
musicals, I
break out in
couldn't-
song one more time, you couldn't understand?
Well, there's some parts that I was a little bit confused. I felt like they were reaching, but I enjoyed it overall. Here's the other thing that you popular. The other thing that is like they announce it, and I didn't realize this, but it's like Wicked Part 1. And when it did that, I go, we're not even gonna get the full movie tonight.
No,
I didn't
3
even
hours
realize
later,
that.
my mom was like, "I wanted an ending," and I
I
was like,
wanted an ending. It
yeah,
gave a
so
good
again,
enough ending
for
for
everyone
part 1.
going. We are your disclaimer. Depending on who you are, it's either a lot of music or not. Trust me, it's a lot. And then it's only part 1 to be continued. There is a 0 ending and closure.
And I would actually probably opt for not 3D.
Oh, I hate 3D movies. I didn't even want to tell you. Anyway, you guys remember this is a special date night, so I was very thankful and excited. It did not help the other day. We went in the theater.
2 days before, Wicked comes up and she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't even like that." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh." Like all my spirits are crushed.
I was just like, I don't know if I have a musical in a theater in me. You know what I mean? Anyway,
we did it. We got through it.
we conquered.
Here we are today.
Listen, very talented. Ariana Grande, she's kind of like transitioning her career into more like Broadway actress. I mean, phenomenal talent. I
think they're all very
yes,
phenomenal.
they were. I mean, incredible. What they can do on a digital screen versus what they could do on an actual Broadway stage is amazing. So
Yeah.
very entertaining. I would have loved to have been on my couch to pause it, so I could pee the 10 times I had to. And
Seriously. Yeah, I snuck a flask in the theater because I
my
just needed
gosh.
to.
Don't say that because all of our complaining is going to be on there and they're going to pull up this
They
clip.
ain't gonna look in here, and I'll tell them, be like, "Look, your service is so horrible." that I
I've
have to
learned that I
I've
need
learned
to
bring
prepare.
a flask. Well, here's the thing: if in order for you to leave the theater and get another drink, in order to get a drink,
You
you
have
have
to
to
go to
leave the
concessions.
theater.
Yeah. Well, of course.
I don't want to leave the theater.
And that was the other thing. The food came so late that they didn't take our plates, and I had to smell.
That's
the
why
food.
I get so antsy.
I
You were like,
pissed.
why are you so antsy? I'm like, cause I want to order. And you're like, it's okay, we'll order. And I'm like, no.
Well, the problem is
because we're not going to get our food, and we're not going to get it.
Everyone else in the place is waiting
cleared.
for the same thing. They were understaffed or whatever, but it was like we weren't helped. And he's sitting there. I mean, he's like standing and he's on the edge of his seat. And I'm like, what do you think's going to happen? You know?
Right.
We're all in line here. Some are luckier than others.
Okay. Well, you know what? Stay wicked, my friends. We will see you next week in preparation for Thanksgiving.
Real Thanksgiving.